Let's just say a spark caused a huge wildfire today in the 3D printing community. Yeah. Hello everyone, Big Jano here. Welcome back to the channel. Hope you guys are having a fantastic day. Alright, I'll be honest here, I was not expecting to make this video of any sort. However, after seeing the events that took place in the last day or two, I figured this was a good opportunity to showcase my thoughts on the whole crowdfunding topic regarding the 3D printing community. And because this ultimately affects the end user in this case, or the customers who buy the machine, aka myself, I figured this was a great time to discuss this topic in more detail, especially as we're seeing it come up more and more lately in the last couple years. And I wanted to share my thoughts with you guys on the whole situation. One thing before we get too far into the video, I do want to make one thing clear. This is not meant to be a hateful video towards any person, product, or company in particular. This is meant to be a discussion rather of someone who's in my position and for others in the community that also might be in a similar position. But this is no way, shape, or form meant to single out any particular product, company, person. This is not meant to be a hateful video. This is meant to be a discussion, a conversation, and to understand what my thoughts are, and to potentially also understand the other aspects of it as well. So this is just putting that out there right now. This is not meant to be offending by any nature of the sort. So to put in the context of what I'm talking about today, I'll actually start off with this. So today, Anycubic tweeted out a post that they are announcing a new 3D printer for their product line. It is supposedly a new resin 3D printer. There weren't a lot of details about the resin 3D printer as much as I know. However, they also announced today that they are running this new product through a Kickstarter campaign. Now again, this isn't meant to single out Anycubic here. This is just for reference on what the conversation was taking place before everything kind of boiled over into where we are now. I don't plan on mentioning them much more in this video other than just to give reference on where it all started. So Anycubic announced that they are going to be starting a Kickstarter campaign for their new 3D printer, which honestly isn't much of a shock at all to anybody. It's not like it's new or anything. It's not like they were the first to do it. I've seen numerous 3D printers within the last year or two that have gone onto the market, that have gone through a Kickstarter or similar crowdfunding campaign, and ultimately have had fairly decent success at first glance. For those who don't know what Kickstarter is or what crowdfunding is, let me break it down to you this way. I'm just going to read the definition off my phone here. Crowdfunding is defined as the practice of funding a project or venture by raising many small amounts of money from a large number of people, typically via the internet. Now, crowdfunding is not new. In fact, it's actually been more popular than ever. According to Statista, in 2020, almost $74 billion were raised in the US and Canada alone via crowdfunding. And because of this ideology, we take companies like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and other various companies, and we use these companies to help people with big ideas, potentially bring these big ideas to market, because they don't have the necessary funding to get their projects going, or because they need certain resources that require more funding than their capital allows, and ultimately gauges interest in the general public whether or not they're going to have enough support for their new product or service to be sustainable. But this is where it starts to get interesting. We're now starting to see more and more companies with larger reputations and fronts in the 3D printing community using Kickstarter and other various crowdfunding resources to promote and market new products to the general customers like myself lately. And honestly, it's been kind of random when it happens. And I can understand why some of these companies use these crowdfunding tools. Honestly, it's a very compelling marketing tool that has very low liability on either side. So even if their project doesn't have success in funding, they're still promoting their products at little to no cost to them. These tools are also used on a global scale, so your reach of people that you can access with your ideas are way bigger than beyond your local markets. So being able to have the opportunity to make yourself aware to more people, that's ultimately going to bring in more sales to your company, regardless if your new product or idea takes off. Here's where this gets very difficult for me as the end user customer of all this. I'm starting to worry that these resources are starting to be taken advantage of by said companies and ultimately taking advantage of us, the consumers, in the end. Especially when these companies that are using these resources already make up a huge share of the 3D printing market. I will make a fair point in saying that using these crowdfunding sources are not necessarily a bad way to gauge interest at this point in time right now, before committing all into the manufacturing side of things, before going all in. And coming from personal experiences, the manufacturing and tooling of the nuts and bolts of products nowadays are not as quick and cheap as they may have once used to be. And with labor shortages, the pandemic, all of that kind of tying into it as well. It does make a little bit of sense coming from that side of things that maybe you don't want to commit all into manufacturing when you don't know your product will be a success or not. Because of that, I have some concerns. First thing, potential to weaken the trust barrier between the customer and the supplier. By using these crowdfunding resources, I feel like this creates a disservice to where you already laid down your merit based off previous products and previous success that you've had, but are now depending on the customers, the clientele, to focus all their attention on this next product or idea, and almost creating an assumption that they're going to do it anyway because of the name, because of the reputation, because of the stuff that's already been out there and tried and true throughout the years, that things are just going to be successful no matter what. And I really feel like that's a huge misstep in trying to keep your customer base, your clientele that already have a liking towards your product, very happy in the future. Also, while crowdfunding sites like Kickstarter are low liability for most parties, they're more high risk and high reward than just trying to promote a new product. Customers don't know what they're buying until they actually get a physical product or idea that's coming off of whatever's shown on the screen in front of them. They have no idea what they're actually getting other than what's shown through a couple of videos and pictures. And that is a huge risk for anybody involved in trying to invest basically in a product that they really don't know how they're going to like it, how they're going to respond to it. It's just a lot of uncertainty that also creates this barrier that could potentially distrust some clients from buying down the road. If you look at both sides, you have high reward, you get a great printer or machine that you're ultimately very happy with, and your relationship with the supplier remains very, very strong. However, that high risk still stands. If something were to go wrong, or if something isn't quite to your liking, then you could potentially be out of hundreds of dollars, and your relationship could potentially become sour or slightly less optimistic than it was previously. Unfortunately, these risks can occur throughout the entire Kickstarter project cycle, and some of these could include having to change parts, having to change the design of a product, having logistics and delivery issues, which have all kind of been seen in various past projects that the 3D printing community have experienced personally. And to me, I worry that those things could easily happen again. Another concern I have that stems from all of this is the potential for the lack of understanding from the customer's point of view on why a company decides to roll out a crowdfunding campaign versus releasing a product just on their own merit. With a lot of past crowdfunding campaigns, I've always asked myself, has the company not have the confidence in their design, engineering, R&D, or quality assurance that they need a little bit extra reassurance from the general public to make their product a success? Is it a funding issue, or is it a resource issue that could potentially be the cause? Or is it just exploring new technology and not knowing if this technology is going to be worthwhile long term? If it is the potential scenario for new technology risks, I do agree that maybe having a crowdfunding campaign isn't such a bad idea, because new technology is always a risk with any product development. And until you get that idea whether that new technology is going to benefit a lot of people or just maybe a few people, I think having that idea before going all in on that technology and before going all in on the manufacturing for that technology, you should have a good idea of what to expect and if it's going to be a successful product because of that new technology. But if it's just reasoning behind having a few extra dollars in your pocket because you're not sure if a product's going to be successful or not, that's a little bit harder argument to get behind in today's day and age. Now, do I really think crowdfunding is a complete waste of time? Absolutely not. I think when done right, crowdfunding can be a really good tool for a lot of people, and especially with product development these days. And like I said before, it's more popular than ever. I don't think it's going away anytime soon. But can it be improved? Absolutely. Here's what I think could be done to help improve that process a little bit. I think the number one priority for making Kickstarters a success is focusing on the quality of both the soft and hard products. I would think actually more the soft product than the hard products. While the quality of the hard product should always be a priority, I believe focusing on the soft product quality needs to be improved down the road in order for future successful crowdfunding projects. What do I mean by the soft product? I mean the relationship between the company and the customer. In this case, because a lot of times we buy these machines that were not from the same country that we currently live in. Because of that, we see a lot of issues with different cultures, language barriers, and I think with issues with the printers or any machines that we get, there always seems to be some sort of disconnect trying to understand troubleshooting issues, and sometimes there's not always that genuine connection to try to make a situation better or to try to help somebody who's struggling to understand why their machine's not working or why they're running into certain issues. And I believe the more we can improve on that, I think the better outcome we're going to have on these projects down the road. This would absolutely give me less hesitancy of backing and investing in a crowdfunding campaign. And ultimately, this would give me more confidence in investing in a company and a product that I know is going to give me great results time in and time out. Because honestly, at the end of the day, we want these products to succeed. I know they want their products to succeed, but we want to be able to help them help us even more so we can continue to make better technology for everybody to access. But I don't want to put all the pressure on the company starting the campaign. I do think the sources of these crowdfunding campaigns also need to be way more accountable. Kickstarter literally has zero liability other than having their stuff on their website. It all goes back to the company, and it's all the company's fault when things don't go right. I highly disagree with that. I think Kickstarter needs to take more account into these companies that are trying to use their resources, but also make sure they're not overusing and abusing their resources so that others that honestly do need the funding and do need the attention more than others get what they actually deserve. And if that means Kickstarter or any other crowdfunding platform has to start looking into background checks per se on the companies and or people that are looking to promote their ideas on their platform, limit how many times they're on their platform yearly, or even look at past customer reviews on past funded projects, whatever you have to do, do what you need to do, take whatever stats you need to take in order to create a better identity of your platform so it's not as abusive for the customers trying to use it. We ultimately need to create better transparency between the customers on the platform and the companies trying to promote their ideas. I think that's going to help create a better platform for all parties involved and ultimately not create issues that we've seen in past projects. In the case that we started with, I actually give Anycubic a lot of credit for this because they actually did come out and say what their intentions were for the Kickstarter campaign. In the second half of their announcement, Anycubic claims that they're using the Kickstarter campaign because it's a good way for them to better understand the market demand and consumer feedback, and in return deliver high quality products to every single one of us. Which honestly is a valid reason why using a Kickstarter campaign. If companies were more transparent like that every single time, I would have no issues or very little issues starting to invest or look into using a crowdfunding campaign to buy a 3D printer. It's the idea of these campaigns being just another profit grab for a company, or the idea of a company just pushing out another product just to compete in the already intensely competitive, oversaturated 3D printer market because it's so popular nowadays. To me, those reasons I just cannot get behind right now. I truly believe if we could fix some of these issues that we're seeing in some of these crowdfunding campaigns, I honestly think we can make this a really positive environment. However, if we do not change anything, I think we're going to see some more negative trends going in this direction and ultimately going to create such a negative environment that ultimately nobody's going to back any of these projects. And at that point, nobody wins. All right, and even after all I've said today so far, at the end of the day, it's ultimately up to you whether or not you decide to back a crowdfunded project. Remember, nothing is guaranteed in these projects. What you see at the beginning of the project might not be the product you get at the very end of the project or the campaign. and ultimately you are responsible for the outcome of whether or not you decide to invest. And again, there's no guarantees you're going to get a product or get the product that you were promised at the beginning. There is the risk for that, but if you have the expendable income and truly believe that you're going to get the product you are seeing, then by all means go forth and have fun. I cannot wait to see your awesome new 3D printer or piece of technology that you got to invest in. All right, I think I've said my piece on this matter. Thank you guys for listening to this video. I greatly appreciate you guys listening to the end. I hope you guys got something out of this. Let me know what you thought on this video. Let me know in the comments if you have any other opinions. I love to hear the opinions. I love to keep the discussion going. I want to keep this conversation going. I don't want this to be a one-side argument. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comments, please. I really do appreciate it. And if you guys like this video, go hit the like button. And if you guys really like it, go subscribe to the channel. It'd be greatly appreciated as we continue to grow the content here. With that being said, guys, that's going to do it for me for this video. I'll catch you in the next one. And until next time, keep doing it big.